Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And before we go any further, I need you to listen closely. Because right now, there's a truth tightening around your life like a quiet storm. And you don't even see it coming. You think you're losing her. But what you're actually losing is the version of yourself that she could take for granted. And that realization hits differently. If you've ever felt a woman suddenly pull away, grow cold, or start treating you like an option, you're about to understand why. And you're also going to understand the exact moment she wakes up and realizes your value. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and like this video so you never miss the insights that change the way men understand women forever. Now, let's talk about the moment that shifts everything. The moment she only starts valuing you when she senses, deeply, instinctively, that you are capable of letting her go, not pretending, not playing a game, not faking detachment. I'm talking about the moment when something inside you quietly snaps into place and she feels it without you saying a single word. Men don't understand how powerful this moment is. You've been taught to hold on, to prove you care, to reassure, to fix things, to chase, to try harder. You've been conditioned to believe that effort creates connection. But with women, especially emotionally complex, independent, modern women, effort often creates comfort, and comfort can make her careless. Not because she's a bad person, but because human psychology responds more strongly to loss than to gain. When she believes you're always there, always available, always emotionally present, her brain stops perceiving you as a scarce, valuable force in her life. But the moment she senses that your world no longer revolves around her, something sharp wakes up inside her. An unease, a fear she can't say out loud, a sudden awareness that the man she assumed would always remain has become a man who could walk away without breaking. That is the moment your value skyrockets, not because you're punishing her, not because you're manipulating her, but because you're returning to the center of your own life. When a man shifts from emotional dependence to grounded self-respect, the dynamic flips instantly. She feels it, and whether she admits it or not, it changes everything. Here's what most men never see. When she starts valuing you, it's rarely about what you say or even what you do. It's about what you don't do. It's about the absence of desperate attachment. When you stop clinging, when you stop bending yourself into shapes that fit her expectations, you create a tension she can't ignore. That tension is magnetic, it's raw, primal, and irresistible. Think about it. Every text you sent asking for reassurance, every call to check if she's okay, every attempt to prove your love, it wasn't making her want you more. It was making her feel comfortable, comfortable enough to assume she could take you for granted. The truth is brutal. Human brains are wired to respond to scarcity and challenge, not to certainty and predictability. Women, consciously or not, feel the same pull. When they think they might lose you, suddenly they notice all the qualities they ignored before. Here's why this works. Scarcity is a signal of value. When you demonstrate that your presence isn't guaranteed, she subconsciously begins to reassess. She begins to weigh who you are, what you mean to her, and whether she's been giving you the attention, respect, and desire you deserve. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow burn. But when it does, the shift is profound. She starts to seek your attention instead of you seeking hers. She starts to lean into the connection instead of taking it for granted. She starts to want you because she fears losing you. But here's the catch. This isn't about playing games. If your mindset is rooted in ego, manipulation, or punishment, it will fail, and she will see through it immediately. This is about inner power, not control. The man who becomes scarce doesn't do it out of spite. He does it because he has built a life independent of anyone's approval. He values himself enough to walk away, and that certainty radiates in a way no charm, gift, or words ever could. Most men panic when they feel distance or disinterest, and that panic destroys attraction. But the men who understand this truth, they allow her space, they remain calm, they keep building their lives. They let her feel the potential of losing them. And that, paradoxically, is what makes them impossible to take for granted. This is the exact psychological mechanism women respond to. It's raw, it's real, and it's exactly why she only values you when she can sense your independence. Now let's get brutally honest. The reason she only values you when she senses you can let her go is rooted in something deeper than attraction. It's rooted in respect. And I don't mean the polite surface-level respect you get when you're convenient. I mean the kind that comes from recognizing that you are a man who will not compromise his self-worth for anyone. She senses it, even if she fights it, even if she pretends she doesn't care. She senses it. Here's what happens in her mind. When you're always available, always compliant, always bending for her comfort, her brain stops signaling valuable. You become part of the furniture in her life. Safe, dependable, predictable. That's not attraction. That's background noise. But when she realizes you have a boundary, a life, a world that exists independently of her, suddenly you're no longer just furniture. You're a force. You're someone whose attention and presence are not automatic. And humans, women included, are wired to value what is not guaranteed. This is why letting go isn't about losing her. It's about stepping into your own life fully. It's about showing her, without words, that your emotional ecosystem does not revolve around her whims. When a woman senses that you're capable of walking away calmly, without drama, without desperation, she experiences something almost magnetic. That subtle shift, your calm confidence, your unshakable self-respect, triggers something in her brain. She suddenly sees all the ways she's been taking you for granted. She notices your patience, your humor, your intelligence, your kindness. Everything she overlooked when she thought you were always hers becomes glaringly clear. And here's the paradox. The more she feels she might lose you, the more she fights to hold on to the connection she once treated casually. She's not scheming. It's subconscious. Your independence, your willingness to let go, signals value in a way no gift, compliment, or chase ever could. This is the exact psychology that turns indifference into desire, that flips the dynamic from pursuit to mutual respect. She begins to seek your presence instead of taking it because she can now perceive the real risk that you might step away and never return. Understanding this shifts the power in relationships, not to manipulate, not to punish, but to reclaim your center, your identity, and your value. Once you do, the dynamic flips. She stops testing, she stops taking, and she starts noticing you in ways that feel almost impossible before. Let me be even clearer. The reason she only values you when she knows you can let her go is because she's testing the boundaries of your self-respect. And most men fail this test without even realizing it. You see, it's not about you doing something wrong. It's about you not being aware of the invisible rules of attraction that govern female psychology. She doesn't consciously say, "I'll only value him if he could leave me." But her emotions, instincts, and subconscious assessments follow that principle every single time. Think about it. When a man is emotionally available at all times, he's essentially giving her a free pass to take him for granted. She never has to notice, never has to care, never has to appreciate. Her brain doesn't register value when it's guaranteed. But the moment you subtly step back, the moment you demonstrate that your attention and energy are scarce resources, not given freely but earned through respect, alignment, and mutual desire, something clicks inside her. She begins to track your value like a treasure she could lose. Here's the irony. This isn't about games. This is about authenticity. You're not pretending to be unavailable. You're not trying to manipulate her emotions. You're simply showing that your life is whole, complete, and independent. You're showing that your happiness does not depend on her approval. That's magnetic. That's power. That's the moment she starts noticing all the things she overlooked before. The way you think, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat people, the subtle confidence that can't be faked. And the psychological effect is profound. When she senses your willingness to walk away, her brain releases subtle signals, anxiety mixed with desire. She begins to crave your attention because she unconsciously recognizes scarcity as high value. She may fight it with detachment or even teasing behavior, but beneath the surface, she's recalculating your importance in her life. The dynamic flips. Instead of you chasing, she's subtly pursuing. Instead of you proving your worth, she's validating yours. This is why men who cling or overextend themselves never trigger real desire. Desire is not manufactured by constant availability. It's cultivated by presence combined with independence, by value demonstrated through actions rather than words, by boundaries maintained without apology. Understanding this principle, truly understanding it, is the difference between being taken for granted and being genuinely desired. Once you grasp this, every interaction, every moment of connection, every glance she gives you takes on a new weight. You stop being the background, you become the center. Now listen carefully, because this is where most men fail, even after understanding everything I've just said. She only begins to value you when she senses that you won't settle for less than your worth. Not in words, not in lectures or arguments, but in every single choice you make. She watches your life quietly, like a shadow observing, and she notices the patterns, the way you respond when she's distant, the way you engage with your world, the way you honor yourself above her whims. That is when your value becomes undeniable. Here's the truth. Women are drawn to men who have an internal gravity, men whose emotional center is untouchable by drama or manipulation. If your self-esteem depends on her approval, if your peace depends on her presence, she senses it instantly. She feels the pressure, the neediness, the energy of, "You are only complete with me." And that kills attraction. On the other hand, when you are grounded, when you can let her walk away without losing your stability or your dignity, she perceives an almost magnetic quality. You are scarce, yet fully yourself, and scarcity paired with self-possession is irresistible. This is the psychology behind why men are often left wondering why a woman seems cold or indifferent, only to have her suddenly warm up when they start stepping back. It's not coincidence, it's not revenge, it's evolution. Her brain is wired to pay attention to what she risks losing, and it's wired to ignore what she believes is guaranteed. Your willingness to let go signals that you are not a man to be taken for granted, and once that signal is clear, she begins to reassess. She notices the subtle humor in your voice, the calm in your demeanor, the strength in your independence. She notices your life, your focus, your principles, and suddenly, she values you not because you chased her, but because you didn't. And here's the beautiful paradox. Stepping back doesn't push her away, it draws her in, but only if you do it correctly. Only if you embody self-respect without arrogance, independence without coldness, detachment without apathy. The balance is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it changes everything. You become the man she can't stop thinking about, the man whose presence feels rare and precious, the man whose worth is impossible to ignore. This is the moment when attraction becomes undeniable, the moment when she starts valuing you for everything you truly are, rather than everything you are willing to give her. And once you understand this principle, you'll see it everywhere, in her words, in her actions, and most importantly, in her energy toward you. Now, this is the final truth that changes everything. She only values you when she can sense you can let her go, because it activates the most primal part of her mind, the part wired to recognize strength, self-respect, and independence. It's not about punishment. It's not about control. It's about presence, grounded in reality, not in desperation. When a man can walk away calmly, confidently, and without hesitation, he demonstrates a power that cannot be ignored. That power is magnetic, irresistible, and it flips the dynamic in ways most men never experience. Most men confuse attention with love. They think that constant presence, constant validation, constant effort equals connection. But women don't fall in love with men who prove they can be bent, shaped, or constantly available. They fall in love with men who stand solid when everything else feels uncertain. When you reclaim your independence, you force her brain to reassess. Suddenly, the man she assumed would always be there is no longer automatic. He is a prize she could lose, and that scarcity awakens desire and respect simultaneously. This is why boundaries are not just healthy, they are essential. Boundaries communicate that you are not disposable, that your time, energy, and attention are valuable. And when a woman experiences that, she can't help but reevaluate her behavior. She notices what she ignored before. your intelligence, your humor, your confidence, your calmness in the face of drama. She starts to align with you instead of taking you for granted. She starts to treat you like the man you already are, not the man you've been trying to prove yourself to be. Here's the unspoken rule. Value is created through independence. Desire is triggered by the possibility of loss. Respect is earned by standing firm in your worth. When these three converge, she begins to chase, to seek, to invest, and to truly see you. And the fascinating part? This works even if she seems indifferent or cold at first. The deeper she senses your emotional sovereignty, the more she is compelled to step up, to notice, and to appreciate everything that makes you rare and desirable. The men who master this don't need to manipulate, don't need to beg, and don't need to perform tricks. They simply embody their value, live their lives fully, and remain calm in the face of uncertainty. And in that calm, that grounded power, they unlock the one thing every man wants: a woman who sees them, values them, and desires them, not because they chased her, but because they never needed to. This is the secret they never tell you. And now that you know it, your relationships, your presence, and your life can change forever.